Have you ever dropped a nut or bolt into an engine bay and spent lots of time looking for it, sometimes never to be able to find it again? Well, there are 3 different companies here that came up with a solution to that problem. Hey, what's up YouTube? Dan the Fix-It Man. Got another quick video here for you. I just wanted to do a quick unboxing of these 3 socket sets that I just bought that seem to have a solution to the problem that a lot of us face of dropping nuts and bolts into engine bays when working on cars, only to waste a lot of time looking for them, sometimes never to be able to find them again. Now, we all have our methods as far as how to make this stay, and I'm sure some of you have just tried, the piece of paper method where you just push a nut or a bolt through a piece of paper into a socket, and that seems to hold it pretty well while you get it started. Over the years, I've also tried some different magnets and whatnot. This is a magnetic extension that, for the most part, will hold on to a bolt like so. Sometimes it'll work on nuts, sometimes it won't. It was a good idea, but doesn't always work. So these 3 companies came up with a different version of a way to hold on to a nut or a bolt. Now, the first company here is a Japanese company called Tone, and they made a socket called Nut Catch. Let's take a look at this. This is the set HSC 312. Let me grab the 14 here first. Their method of holding on to the nut or bolt is with little ball bearings, and that's actually similar to these other 2 as well. Now, these little ball bearings or BBs are right here embedded into the wall of the socket. This one has 2. It skips a surface and then does another one over here. They're not opposite each other, and those are held in by this metal band or ring that goes around there. Let's see how this works. There's a 14mm bolt. You put it in there and it doesn't come out until you pull it out. Let's try another one that doesn't have the flange. This has a little washer, but that should go in a little bit deeper. Now for the nut right here. Now that doesn't come out, but the nut is now stuck in there. So in order to get that out, you got to either grab a screwdriver or something, pop it out from the back. Here's another nut. This is like a flange nut. Holds on really well, and this one we should be able to just pull that out. Looks like it does exactly what it's supposed to, and it worked very well. Let's try a different size. Let's just try a 10 on this bolt here. That holds on great. And here's a 10mm nut. That's held on there really well. Now here I happen to have a bolt that will thread in there, so we can pull that one out. But you can see that when these do get stuck in there, at least on a nut, you're gonna have to maybe do a little bit of effort to pull that nut out. But the bolt, of course, just grab onto it and pull it right out. The other thing I noticed on these Tone sockets, similar to the other set that I have from Tone, it almost looks like they're flipped right here. You see these 4 have the shiny or polished side on the lower side, and then the rest of them, the shinier side is on the opposite side. So kind of a different feature, but that's what the other Tone set looks like that I have as well. And the sizes that they have here are 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 17, 19, 21, 22, and 24. So we do have a few skips, and I know that drives some of us crazy. Good that we have most of the common sizes, and it's a pretty big set. 12 sockets in total. So there's the Tone. Let's take a look now at the next one. This is WERA or WERA. I guess depending on where you're from is going to depend on how you pronounce that, but this, I usually just say WERA, but this is a German company, but these are made in the Czech Republic. Part number here is belt B18790HMBHF, and the HF stands for holding function. So let's open this one up. All right, now this is a little bit different than your traditional socket rail. This comes on a little belt with a carabiner, and this is Velcro, and it comes with a stick-on piece of Velcro. So you could put that maybe on the outside of the top of like a tool bag, or even on the side of a toolbox, which would work pretty well. Now this belt actually holds on to these sockets really well. These are twist lock, so you have to twist it to take it off. So that's pretty cool. You just twist that counterclockwise to unlock it, and then they slide right off. But as soon as they're locked, I mean, those are really held on, they're snug. You can't even really pull that off until you unlock it. On the sizes here, these are quite a bit different. We have 8, 10, 12, 13, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. Not really using 9 on anything that I can think of, but we're missing an 11, and we're missing a 14, which is something that I use quite often when working on Japanese cars. But it goes up to 19, which covers me on most things. Now, not having the 14 might be a deal breaker to some of you, but check this out. you can buy separate sockets, which is what I did. I bought this one, the 14, just by itself, and it's the exact same hold function. Now, the WERA or WERA is very similar to the Tone in that it also uses a ball bearing or a little BB here on the inside of the socket to hold on to that bolt or nut. But this one, if you can see, these are stacked one on top of each other, and there's nothing in the rest of the socket. It's just one on top of each other for all of the sizes from the 19 all the way down to 12 until you get to the 8 and the 10. If you look closely at the 8 or the 10, they just have one on one side and then another on the other. So these are exactly opposing each other. Let's test these out here real quick. So here's the 14. Now it does shake out. It's not like I'm going to be shaking something, you know, if I'm working on it, but this one's holding on a little bit tighter. And here's a 14mm nut. Comes out just fine. Now if we use this one here, I mean, that's not coming out. Well, in order to get this one out, WERA adds this little rubber tapered tool. So all you need to do is just slide that in, give it a little turn. It's like you're threading the nut onto it, and then it pulls it right out. That's a pretty cool solution. Now the only thing though with ordering the extras is I'm not going to be able to put it anywhere on this belt without removing one of these others that maybe I don't use very often. So maybe one of these I can consider removing, but for right now I'm just happy to have it, and I'll probably just keep these in my box. But if I end up putting this on a tool bag or a tool belt, then I might need to figure out a way, or I might even buy the 11, or if they have some bigger sizes, maybe I'll pick those up and I'll just buy another belt to have the additional sizes. Let's give the 10 a try here too. This seems to shake out pretty easily on the WERA. Let's try another bolt. Oh, that's holding on a little bit better. Maybe just the surface of the bolt, you know, this one's a little bit shinier, so it's sliding out a little bit easier. But if we try a 10mm nut on this one, that's not going to shake out. Just put that on and it'll come right out. It's a pretty neat thing that they include that right there on the carabiner, so you'll be able to take any nut out of there if it gets stuck. By the way, I do like the knurling on this one. That's pretty cool to be able to use that almost as like a little thumb spinner. Now, one of the main differences is the method of holding in the ball bearings. This is a plastic ring. I don't know if it's like a heat shrink type of plastic band. I don't know how well that will hold up. I mean, it's not like I'm leaving these out in the sun or anything, but that plastic, that would make me nervous that that might start to wear out, or it might even scratch or catch and may not last as long. And as far as holding on, the WERA maybe just doesn't hold quite as strong. You know, that one shakes out pretty easily. I'm sure though that it really depends on the type of fastener. This one does not have that flange, and so it will go a little bit deeper inside. And this one holds on pretty well. That's not sliding out as easily as this one did because it's got that little flange right there, so it can't go as far into the socket. Yeah, it comes out really easily. So it really is going to depend on the type of fastener that you're taking out or putting in. Now the last company here is Coken. This is also a Japanese company, and the sizes here are 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 17, and 19. Also has a few skips in there, but I know that Coken does make other sets and other sizes available as well. The part number on this set is RS3450M/8, meaning it's an 8-piece. I'd have to say I don't really love this rail that this one comes on. It's just a nice little compact set and the sizes that I really like. Now you might have seen in another video I did a quick little review and an unboxing on these nut grip sockets, and I had already purchased separately the 8, 10, 12, and 14 from Coken USA, along with this universal that I really like. But I really wanted to go ahead and get a larger set, so I bought this set here. Even though I know that they make a bigger set, I just wanted to make sure that I had a 17 and a 19, and also I decided that it was important to have the 13 and the 11. So this set really not only filled that in, but I felt like it wouldn't be a bad thing to have extras or a double of the 10, the 12, 14, and even the 8 that I do use a lot more frequently than some of those other sizes. Just to show you some comparisons here, and these I've already used and I already know that they work very well, but the Coken just holds on just like you would want it to. Let's try the other bolt here too. This is the one that the WERA had a harder time with. You can see that the Coken holds on, and then here's the flange nut. Holds it on just fine, and we can still get our fingers on there and take it out. If we use the same one here, push that in, it really holds on and it doesn't come out very easily. Let me just pop that one out with a screwdriver. Now the difference here on the Coken socket is they do have the one ball bearing, but then they have another one exactly opposite. So these ones are all directly opposing each other. And then these ones are held in place by it's like a wire spring that's expanded and probably put on here. It's very durable. These I can actually speak to the experience because I've used these already on several jobs, and they do exactly what you want them to do. They hold on to the nut or a bolt when you're taking it off or putting it back on. Let's try the 10 on the Coken here too. Yeah, it holds on to that just fine. And try a different bolt that's shinier. Still doesn't shake out. And then we'll try the 10mm nut. It holds on great, but again, here we are with that same dilemma of that nut being stuck in there. So if you don't have a bolt ready to pull that out, that's where the WERA is pretty cool, this little rubber cone here that they include. I don't know if WERA sells that separately, but it would be nice to have one of those, even if you choose one of these other nut catch or nut hold products. There you can see the different heights. I would say the Coken and the Tone are probably the same height. The WERA is taller, but it's also quite a bit deeper. And then if you were to compare the width of the overall socket, it looks like Coken is the narrowest. Not by much, but Coken is narrower than the Tone. All are a lot narrower than the WERA. This is definitely the bulkiest. Well, there they all are. I don't know if those names are all proprietary, but I believe they are. Coken with the nut grip, WERA with holding function, and Tone with nut catch. I just noticed here the 24, the band on here is really dull, and the rest of them, it's all shiny. So I don't know if that just missed some polishing, but not that big of a deal. Definitely some pros and maybe a few cons to each one. I'm sure it just really depends on what you're working on. Now, there also might be an application where one of these will work better than the other. For example, the WERA might be better because it's deeper on a certain application or trying to get on a certain nut, whereas the Coken and the Tone might be a little too shallow. But also, if you're working in a really greasy or dirty environment, it might make more sense to use the Coken and the Tone, which is all metal and will clean up easier. Plastics sometimes are susceptible to certain chemicals, so if you're trying to clean those up, you might want to be careful on certain solvents. Now, on some of the other tool reviews that I've done with Japanese tools, people always ask, does it say Japan on the tool? And some of the Tone wrenches that I've looked at do not say Japan. They're actually made in Taiwan. This one does say Japan, and the box also says made in Japan. So I would say that this particular tool on Tone is made in Japan. Coken is also made in Japan, says right here made in Japan, and every single socket also says made in Japan. And on the WERA is a company out of Germany, but this particular tool says made in Czech Republic. Now, keep in mind, this is not a sponsored video. I bought all of these with my own money, and I'm really glad that I did. I'm happy with all three. I was really trying to do this to narrow it down to maybe one that I could tell you, yeah, definitely buy this one. But in my case, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to tell you that it really depends on what you're working on. I do like the fact that the Tone and the Coken Japan are all metal. I don't love the idea of that plastic ring. You know, what I'll probably do is use this as more of like a tool belt type of socket where I'm doing other types of jobs that are not automotive, and I'll probably stick with the Tone and the Coken for working on cars. And I'm going to let you guys make your own decision on which one you prefer to get based on, you know, the information here. I ended up buying all of these on Amazon. I think the Tone and the Coken I got from Amazon Japan, which takes a little bit longer due to international shipping. Now, after I purchased all of these and I ended up going to the SEMA show in Vegas, I stopped by the Coken Tools booth. I met with Coken USA, and I did partner with them, and so they are going to be sponsoring my channel, sending me a few more tools. So you will see a few more reviews of Coken in the future. The link in the description to CokenUSA.com is also going to have a coupon code where you'll get a discount off of any tools that you purchase on their site. I hope that this video was helpful to you, and if it was, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you don't mind. That does help me out. Thanks so much for watching, and good luck.